The latest adaptation of Stephen King's novel has hit theaters in Australia. Has the movie successfully mixed the horror and comedy genres? Is it worth watching? Watch this review and find out.
Bings.
Welcome back to Movie Beings. Today we're going to give you a quick review of The Monkey.
The Monkey.
Written by Oz Perkins, who wrote Longlegs, one of our probably all-time favorite horrors at this stage.
At this stage.
And, we got tickets to go pre-screen this movie before it was screened in theaters. And we're going to give you a quick review and quick rundown of the movie.
Our best job of it as we can.
Yeah. So,
Do you want to jump in initial thoughts first?
But I think we should give the audience a bit of a log line on what the movie actually is about. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's a toy that got passed down from generation to generation. It's a horrible and scary-looking monkey. And then this monkey brings chaos into the lives of the two sons, played by the same actor.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Monkey, twists its thing and it kills people.
Pretty much.
There you go.
But we had a very good discussion on the way back after we saw the movie.
I almost wish we had our mics then.
That
would have been perfect.
I know. But I think if we want to visit the movie, what was the first impression? My first impression of this movie was the NDA that we got before we even sat down to the chairs. I think they want to get us into the mindset of that.
Yes.
This is a mixture of horror and comedy.
Yes. And even if we talk about the first scene in the movie, it does the same thing as well. It kind of sets up the idea of this monkey is horrifying, but all the deaths are kind of used in a jokey way. Because we have Adam Scott in the first scene as the father, which I loved. I was like, Adam Scott, that's cool. And he's trying to get rid of the monkey.
Yes.
And I found it funny that he thought the way to get rid of the monkey, I'm going to sell it back or sell it to a pawnbroker.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even want money. You just take it.
Yeah.
And then he twists the back of the key and is like, there's nothing wrong. And while that's happening in the background, classic Final Destination, shit's going wrong in the background. And it's how's this going to end in a death?
Yeah.
And then it's a joke death. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Now we know what we're in for.
And when we were doing the pre-screening, they had set up cameras to capture the reactions of the audience as well. And I think they were hoping for some sort of horrified
or great laugh or something.
Yeah. But they got a lot of great laughs. I don't think they got any kind of fear or scare reactions.
There was no big scares, but there were a lot of laughs. Maybe not from us, but everyone else was laughing.
Yeah. So if we try not to spoil this movie, but I think it's going to be...
We're probably going to spoil it anyway, but we'll try to see how we go.
So I think based on the conversation that we had, this kind of trauma started when the twin were young.
Yeah.
One of the twin is very, good looking, very popular. The other ones is just got bullied all the time.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of found out about the toy by chance. And on the back of the toy it says, turn the key and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think at first, the older brother turned the key.
No. I think they go to do it, but they don't.
Oh, okay.
Because at the start, no, they don't really do it. But they the brother bullies him into taking the monkey, right?
Yeah.
And then he ends up one day shows up in their room and he's like, oh, you wanted the monkey? He's like, oh, and he bullies him again to be like, oh, you can have the monkey, but makes him, ask for it in a stupid way.
Yeah.
So it already sets up the point of the younger brother. It's only they're like twins, but so it sets the ground of he's being bullied. He's not very good. And then it shoots a bit later. He's being bullied too much by his brother at school. So he's like, oh, I'm going to twist this monkey to Oh no, that happens later.
Yeah.
He twists it by accident at one point.
Yeah.
And then they go out for dinner and then their nanny dies by accident.
Yeah.
So then the brother figures it out and he's like, so if you twist the key, the monkey will kill somebody.
Correct.
So after he gets bullied, he figures, hey, if I twist the key, maybe he'll kill my brother and he'll stop bullying me. But as we learn...
But I really like that sequence because, the younger brother who got bullied. And I think it was one of those worst days that he got thrown food on.
Oh, it was pretty bad. Yeah,
so he came back home, he was ready to take revenge. And because now that he learned that the monkey brings death, he thought that he would be able to control the monkey. He was he would be able to give requests to the monkey, hey, kill my older brother.
Yeah.
But, obviously we quickly learned that he doesn't take requests.
No.
But that moment for me was great because it right after the funeral and the mom consulted them and she was like, death is something that we cannot avoid, we can just accept it. And then immediately after that he turned the key and then I don't remember exactly how his mom died, but I think she's got one of the conditions or something
It was just a death.
Yeah, just a death. Yeah.
I think she like is like bleed crying or
Yeah,
something, but
yeah.
it's like a horrifying death essentially.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't know what they were expecting, but it wasn't as quite as showy as some of the deaths they do in this film.
Correct.
But they do make a bit of a joke of a funeral. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like the setup, and we understand, so, okay, these brothers understand this monkey does some weird shit, and that's kind of the set for. But it also, like we were saying before, it sets up the film of like, they use a lot of the horror for the punchline, which personally I felt I didn't really enjoy as much.
Yeah.
Because it still deals with some serious, like death and like, young boys losing their, mother, and even like, people close to them, and it's still kind of used as a joke. And I'm like, ugh. And even in the, like you said, the mother has this like speech about talking about death and stuff, and even that seems like a joke.
But I think during that sequence, I think the movie was trying to give us the core theme that is exploring, and I think after that I think they were trying to get rid of the monkey in different ways. They tried to chop it up, and I think eventually they decided, okay, we're just going to lock it up. Down the well it goes.
That's what you do with your problems.
Go down
the well.
But what if you are Batman? Then you can climb up the well.
Well, he's
the Dark Knight Rises.
Sometimes I come back.
Yeah, and I think we got a time skip of 20 years later or something. And then the monkey is back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, I think that during the conversation we had, it's like now the story kind of resets because it's like a combination of two shorter stories. First one was just like a setup for the childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And now the main character is dealing with his own problems. So he's got a kid.
Yeah, he's got a kid.
And then the kid is being adopted by the foster parent who's played by Frodo.
Frodo Baggins. He's back at it again.
Yeah.
So he's, at this point, he's decided the monkey curse is so strong he needs to avoid his son's life completely.
Yes.
And he only sees him once a year.
Yes.
So this is like he's going back for his one time a year, and his ex has a new partner who writes books on being a father.
Yeah.
And they're saying they're going to adopt him they're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really got much. He's like, oh, take this weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
Spend some time with him, but we're going to adopt him.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, he's like, oh shit, like, I don't know if he doesn't feel as bad, but he's just kind of like, he's still kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it isn't as bad compared to like as the son sees it, right?
Yeah. And I think that deep down, he knows that this is a better option for his son as well.
He thinks that.
Yeah. And, I think this is where if we just look at this story on its own, this is like the enticing event that gets him to go on the journey, right?
Yes.
So this is your last weekend with the son. Make the most out of it. After this, your son will be adopted by someone else, and you might not even see him after a year. And, be... On top of all of this, he has to deal with this crazy monkey that kills people.
Yeah.
Then so he got back into this town, and then
because his auntie died.
That's a crazy death as well.
So the lead up, he's like called to adventure, as we've called it before. So he's out with his son, and I think they're just at a hotel, and he gets a call, and he's like, "Oh, your auntie's passed away. You're the next. You're the next in line. Can you come to town and do it?" He's like, "I can't really do it." He's like, "Oh no, you need to come." So that's like, okay, he has to do this, and he just happens to have his son as well.
Yeah.
So it works out.
Yeah.
And his son, this whole time, he's doing a report about his family tree, and he's trying to ask his dad about it, and he's like, no. He's just, it's just my mother, and I don't have anybody else. Don't have any other siblings or anything. Even though at this point his brother has called him up to be like, oh, shit's going down.
Yeah.
I think the monkey's back or whatever.
Yeah. And by the time he got to the building, like we had another crazy death. So one of the hot ladies was trying to have a swim at night, and then he got blown up.
So another classic Final Destination. A whole bunch of shit happens.
Correct.
They're like, I think it was the air conditioning unit broke and fell into or one of the lines, cables broken, and electrified the fuel. Yeah. And then he's like, no! And she's too late. She's jumped in. And
no, it reminds me of Final Destination so much, but I think it looks like it's making a satire out of this genre.
I think it is a little bit. I think it's meant to be like, oh, look at this stupid death.
Yeah. Then he got to his auntie's house, and he met up with a real estate agent. Then we had another crazy death as well. So
and even when he meets the real estate agent, there is a funny moment where he's talking and he's got the son, and he's like, "Oh, what about your brother?"
Oh yeah.
And his son's like, "What?" And then he's like, he makes a comment. He's like, "Oh, well, I just found out he had a brother and he's never told me about."
Yeah.
And I remember she's like, "So you don't want the card?" She's like giving out her like,
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that was pretty funny."
And after that event, the police came, and then they asked him to stay in town during the investigation. And this is where he got another call for his brother.
Yeah.
And this is when he kind of found out, like, like how do you know about this? Do you live in the same area? But on top of all that, the thing that took me by surprise was just a group of cheerleaders cheering people, taking the dead body out of the building. I was like,
so the real estate agent dies.
yeah.
She opens up a cupboard and there's a gun in there and it like blows her head off.
Yeah.
And she's like getting wheeled out and there's like cheerleaders there cheering it on.
What's going on there?
And we're like, eh? But I think that's just kind of like what this movie's meant to be. It's meant to be a bit of a joke. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah,
I think that's what took me out of this movie a lot when it kind of like downplays the deaths.
Yeah.
Like I think the death can still be funny, but it depends how long you linger on it, right? I feel like sometimes in this film it lingered on the moment a lot to try to make the joke of it. That's where I was like, ugh.
But I think it also depends on where the writer wants to go with the story as well.
And I feel like that's what they wanted from the story overall.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these deaths are funny or meant to be seen as funny.
And then he found out that his brother is adapting a new alias called Mrs. Monkey.
Mrs. Monkey.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, because initially he didn't realize he was in town, but when all this shit goes down, he gets the second call. He's like, what the Like he knows his brother's up to something.
Yeah.
So that's when he was looking for him.
Yeah.
And then he found Mrs. Monkey. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like, what was on the recorder? It was like, if you find this monkey, monkey, let me know. And I want it.
So one of the guys found a monkey during one of the garage sales.
Yeah.
Now this character design is a bit weird as well because we can't see his eyes. He's got long hair.
Yeah.
I think he was wearing a hat as well, so we can't see his eyes. His family is a bit dysfunctional. He came home, his mother was smoking, and he's got a military brother who just sits around and watches
chilling.
TV.
Yeah.
So it's just a very weird character design, and I don't understand what they were trying to go with.
I think it was just a dude.
Yeah.
I don't think it was meant to be anything too serious.
And then he fell in love with a monkey.
Well, he really wanted a monkey because it reminded him of his dad, so that's great.
Of course, and I think he would just set up to be another one of those weird deaths.
Well, that's what I mean. They're all weird deaths, but it's just like, okay, he's just like a goofy character because he does end up giving it to the brother because I think he gave him like $20 or something. I found it funny. Like, okay.
It's like, piss off. Now I got the monkey.
Yeah, and it's funny that they like don't. Well, that's the thing. They don't understand what it is. But
So it turns out the elder brother is holding grudges on the younger brother for turning the monkey.
For some reason, he's like, as soon as I threw the monkey down the well, I figured it all out. I'm like, of course you did. After you got rid of the monkey, you figured it all out.
Yeah. And I think this is where the climax of the story is. Like so he forces the younger brother to come back. Oh no, like the guy who sold the monkey. Sold the monkey, asked the brother to come back.
Because he wants to get the monkey back. And he gets a gun.
For some reason. And he's like, okay, now tell your son to go through the dock door and get the monkey back for me.
Yeah. And even before that, his brother called him up to be like, hey, I want you to bring your son here and make him turn the monkey key.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to kill his brother.
Yes.
But he's been doing it and it hasn't been working. He's been turning the key and has been killing everybody else but his brother. So he's thinking, maybe if I use his son, maybe they'll in some way like kill his father. Yeah. Maybe because he thought like, when he twisted it, he killed his mother. But it's just like, doesn't really matter. Like we've said about the monkey, it doesn't care.
Like for me at this point, like it's supposed to be the climax of the story, but because they downplay the seriousness of the movie,
that's
so much,
the thing, right?
We were like, okay, I guess the kid was just going to turn the key.
Well, that's the thing, even because even his father warned him the whole time. He's like, we told him a couple of times. He's like, it's a bad monkey. Don't turn the key. Yeah. And as soon as the thing's like, the brother's like, you just turn the key.
Turn the key and see what happens.
Yeah, and he just does it. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And I think the most memorable sequence for me was when the two brothers met, and then the elder brother got pissed off, and he was like, okay, I'm going to take the matter into my own hands. I'm going to force the monkey to play the drums and kill my brother. And I think that's where all shit broke loose. All the crazy deaths happened.
So that's a bit later. So the brother finally gets there. Yeah. And he hasn't died yet. So that's when he's like in like this state of like paranoia that he's like, it can't kill him. And it's like, and he's like, I'm going to make it do it. And then, as you said, it goes into turmoil and everybody dies. Every
crazy death happened in the town. And I think we had this kind of touching moment where the two brothers finally recognizes the mistakes that they made in the past, and then maybe they forgive each other, and then it got downplayed again just by the comedy. And I think this trope is very commonly found in a lot of Asian dramas. Like they got downplayed, and then
downplay the moment.
So I was like, okay. I guess we don't care about the two brothers now.
Because like right at the end, like when it seems like they've made
Make amends.
make amends, a bloody, what is it, like a bowling ball throws through
Yeah.
the building and like smashes his head open or something.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
But I think the conversation that we had after the movie was our understanding of the two characters, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, they're just vessels for an idea, right?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, well, hopefully. But in my understanding of this movie is the two brothers represent right and wrong, the two sides of the yin yang
Yin-yang.
shape, if you can call it, and the monkey represents death.
Well, literally.
Yeah, correct.
Literally.
So like throughout the movie, my understanding of the movie is just like the conflict between right and wrong. What is right and what is wrong, and death is something just there, and then we cannot avoid it whether we want to do the right thing or the wrong thing. The moments that the younger brother turns the key, if he's a representation of right, then he tried to do the right thing by killing the bully, but then it turns out it's brought back a horrible consequence.
Well, I don't even know if it's the right thing though.
No, I mean like they were trying to justify his action.
Yeah, they're trying to,
Yeah.
But whether or not like justifies him in killing is a different matter. But the way I saw it personally, I almost saw the monkey as like envisioned like as family trauma that is like passed down, because
Okay.
it's literally his father passes it down to his
Yeah,
sons, and his
interesting.
sons deal with it.
Yeah.
And then it's how what's
How?
It's his choice to figure out how he passes it down to his son.
Correct.
So I think that's an interesting way to deal with it. Well, like the father tries to blow it up, the brothers try to blow it up, and it all just backfires. So the brother who survives with his son, and he's like, at the end of the film, he's like, we're just got to figure out a way to deal with this. So it's actually like dealing with it in a healthy way. That's how I kind of saw it. If it was like an image or a story of some type, where you got two twins literally dealing with this trauma in different ways. One guy denies it and runs away from it and doesn't want anything to do with it. The other brother wants to use it and get his revenge.
Yeah.
So that, like, it does in that sense of like good and bad.
Interesting, yeah.
But I saw it as family trauma because it made sense. I'm like, passing it down, literally a monkey in a box that you don't want to open because you don't want it to like show, or you don't want to deal with it. But when it's out, when the monkey's out doing, literally creates chaos in a way that not dealing with your trauma, like it's not that easy to like reframe, but like trying to deal with your trauma in a healthy way. This is not dealing with your trauma in a healthy way, and it creates so much chaos in death, literally in the world. But that's why, that's what I thought at the end of the film when he's with his son, and he's even like, he even says, "Oh, let's dance," like him and his mum used to do. It's like a nice moment of like, maybe there's some healing finally left to be done instead of just hurting each other.
No, that's interesting. The reason why I thought of the monkey as a representation of death,
Well, it is.
but then when they stopped at the red lights, they saw one of the four horsemen.
Yeah, I think that was just a throw in.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was trying to think, I'm like, why would he be there? Because
Yes.
they kind of like give him a head nod and he like goes on his way.
His death.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, in the essence of this story itself, it doesn't really play
Yeah, it
in as
doesn't.
much.
But I think that as soon
I
as
think
he
it's just
said
like a
that-
goofy thing.
It is. But I think as soon as he said that, oh, this monkey is part of our lives now.
Yeah.
we try to figure it out. If it's a representation of trauma, I think that's a very valid point. But then why would you have the horsemen? So I think that
Well, I don't know if there's a lot of shit that happens in the movie, whether you want to take it literally or not. But yet again, you don't have to read into movies like this at all, and you can just take it for face value, which I feel like this is what this movie is maybe more going for. Like, there's still stuff with like family dynamics, but I was just trying to think, if I was trying to get anything out of this film, what would it be?
Yeah.
And that's how I would read it a little bit to deal with the monkey, right?
Yeah. And how I would read it is like at the end of the day, the core message is death is inevitable.
It's a bit of a joke, just
Pretty
laugh
much,
at it.
Pretty much.
But that's
And,
like
you know,
not a bad way of looking at it. Like, I can
and-
definitely see that from this film.
And just dance and have a good time.
Yeah, have a good
enjoy
time
your
while
time
you
with
can.
your family.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, like it's just part of your
You
life.
never know
and
when
you
a
have to-
monkey's going to come along.
Pretty much. Or you know, like when they start playing the drums.
Yeah.
That's when you need to worry.
Play their drums, I'll play their drums.
And I think, of course, they have to throw in one last death in the end with the bus.
The bus and the cheerleaders, they finally got your favorite characters.
Oh my god. Would you recommend this movie to anyone?
If you like comedy horror, maybe, because it wasn't my thing at all.
Hmm.
I don't know about how you felt about it. I thought it's like fine, but it didn't really do much for me. I was just like, oh, all right.
I wouldn't recommend this movie to anyone, unfortunately. I think it's a very well-made movie, but I think it was trying to blend the two genres that don't really go well. I think that you need to pick one lane. Okay, this is going to be a horror movie.
I don't think necessarily
Yeah.
as well, but I feel like for me it leaned too much into the comedy.
Yeah.
Before we maybe finish up on our
Yeah.
thing, do we want to say, do you have a favorite death?
What's your favorites at the moment?
It's between the real estate agent getting a head blown off, or even at the start, the poor merchant as the fish gun. What do you call it? The harpoon.
Yeah, the
shoots
harpoon.
through,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it like
yeah.
pulls out
Yeah,
all his
yeah, yeah, yeah.
entrails across it.
Yeah.
Adam Scott's just like, what the fuck?
Okay. Probably the swimming pool one.
Yeah, you like when the lady like jumps in and he's like,
No! Like, how can you not see the whole air conditioning units falling off the roof?
It's very Final Destination, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very like, oh, what the hell's happening? And then like the person that's going to kill has no idea.
Yeah, no, that's it. And I think that's exactly what you can expect from this movie.
Jumping into an electric pool.
That is the end of the episode. Let us know what you think about the conversation in the comment section below and smash that like button.
Ring the bell and subscribe as well. And you better be back next time.
And we will see you in the next episode.